Welcome everyone to this short video about harvesting oak from the forest. So, a little while ago the forester told me that I could take some of his spare oak out of a little area of forest not too far away from here. They work on like 200-year cycles. They know what they're going to be doing in 50, 100, 150 years time. So this was planted about 35 years ago and it needed thinning. So he's chopped down a whole bunch of oak trees, left them lying on the ground, and he told me any that I could haul out myself, using just manpower, because you can't get in there with any tractors. Any I could haul out myself, I could have. So, set the forces in action. Got a couple of friends to come and help. Vicente and Em, wonderful people. Christian you'll see as well. He's a popular person around here. He helps out with a lot of different things. I'm sure you've seen him before on other videos. He's come with his tractor to help us take it out of the forest once we've piled it all up. So why do I want the oak? It's not particularly good firewood. It burns for a very long time, but it doesn't burn particularly hot. So you might want some in the base of your fire. You might want to throw some in overnight to keep it in all night. But you certainly don't want to make a fire out of just oak. And it seems a bit weird anyway. Oak's got this kind of druidic value that just burning it seems a bit weird. So you're certainly going to make pretty little things out of it, sculptures and carvings, little boxes, models of pigs, that sort of thing. But the reason I really want it is to improve the soil around here. If you've been following the barracks for any amount of time, you know that improving the soil is one of our absolute main things. The quality of the soil here is just awful. It's terrible. It's basically completely dead when I first dig it up, and I spend years just trying to improve it all the time. And I've been thinking a lot lately about the addition of charcoal. Now charcoal is amazing. For one, it traps carbons forever. If you chop a tree down, and these trees have had to be chopped down, the forest needs thinning, it's as simple as that. They plant them deliberately close together and then they thin them a little bit later. The trees that are left grow faster and more vigorously and stronger as well. So don't get too hung up about chopping down trees. It's often a very good thing to do. So these ones have been thinned. I want to take them out. And I want to turn them into charcoal. Trees obviously are one of the best ways of naturally storing carbon. You can store it in peat bogs and in grass and in roots, in a whole lot of other different ways. But trees, obviously really good and a really popular way of doing it. And a real good sign that something's happening. It looks more natural. It looks as if you're greening the world again as soon as you plant a tree. But as soon as the tree gets chopped down or falls down or dies, it starts to release that carbon again. So obviously an oak tree will hold on to its carbon for 200, 500, 1,000 years. Maybe not 1,000, but for a very, very long time. But these ones, they need to be cut down. They're preventing the growth of the forest. They can lie on the floor, and if they lie on the floor, they will decompose and they will release their carbon back into the atmosphere quite quickly. Within 4 to 5 years, maybe 6 years, they'll be completely gone. They'll have turned into their constituent parts, a lot of which will be carbon. A lot, of course, will have fed microbes and fungi and other green plants and will have been stored in a way, but mostly it'll get released again as it decomposes. So what you can do is you can burn them in the absence of oxygen, and that burns off everything except the carbon. So all the gases come off, they get burnt. And what you're left with is charcoal. Think about it, charcoal's just carbon. Adding carbon in the form of charcoal into your soil is just about the best thing you can do to improve the quality of soil. It's incredibly good for soaking up water, and if it soaks up the water, it soaks up all the nutrients in the water, So you hold on to the water, you hold on to the water-soluble nutrients for an awful lot longer, and the soil becomes more fertile and deeper and darker and more beautiful, and it's just perfect for the vegetables and the fruits you're going to grow in it. And of course, if you're going to do this on a commercial scale, if you were to add charcoal to commercial soil, like agriculture soil, you need to use less pesticides and less herbicides, because they don't just get washed away in the first douse of rain. They stay in the soil for an awful lot longer. Obviously, not advocating pesticides and herbicides, but if you could use less of them, that would clearly be a very good thing. Probably the best soils that the world has ever known is the soils of the Amazon basin, from about 950 BCE to 450 BCE. The people who lived there in the Andes, in the foothills of the Andes in the Amazon basin, they created, whether by intent or by accident, we can never know, they created what in Portuguese was called black soil, Portuguese terra preta, and that's what it's now known as, terra preta. It's this incredibly deep, self-regenerating soil that is essentially broken pottery, bones, manure and charcoal, with charcoal being the greatest part of it. And that sounds an awful lot like what I'm trying to develop here. Lots of humus, lots of plant-rich materials in the form of manures and composts. But I need something to bind it all together. So yeah, the plan is to get as much oak out of the forest as possible, convert it all into charcoal, grind it up, and dig it deep into the soil where it will hold on to the water, hold on to the nutrients. And if it's going to rain less or less predictably, then anything you can do to make your soil more moisture absorbent has to be a good thing. There we are, sitting on some of the logs that we've chopped. If you look very carefully and you know your trees, you'll notice that this is maple, not oak. There was a lot of maple in the way, had to cut through it to get to the oak. So we've got an almost equal amount of maple and oak. Maple again, it's obviously a deciduous hardwood. It's probably not as good as oak for making charcoal, but we're certainly going to give it a go. It's also a very nice colour, maple. It's very sort of white with very even grain. So hopefully we'll be able to make nice things out of that as well. So Vicente and Emma, they came down especially to help with the loading up and the collecting of this wood from the forest. Absolutely brilliant to see them again, brilliant to have them helping. They helped me chainsaw it, pile it all up, and then we got the long ass job of chucking it all on the back of the trailer. I don't think there's anything really better in this world than working in a forest. So we're in 2023, where are we? Somewhere towards the end of July. The hottest day ever recorded. Records are falling like they never existed. On this day, and I can't remember exactly when it was, this was the hottest day of the year so far. It was the only day we had to get it all out. We had to do it this day. It was at least 20 degrees cooler in the forest. Forests are just amazing. They're an awful lot cooler and more pleasant in the summer. And they're an awful lot warmer and more pleasant in the winter. How can you possibly want anything more than to be working in a forest all day? It's just lovely.
Tossing my log all day. I'm tossing my log all day.
That's all the oak finished. Going to chuck all the maple on now. And what's that? We've got some silver birch as well. Silver birch is a funny old wood. If you want to make nice details in complicated chopping boards or the light coloured squares in a chessboard, silver birch is just fantastic for it. But you got to be careful with silver birch. It's just about the only wood that you can chop the tree down, cut it up and throw it straight on the fire. It will burn straight away. It doesn't need drying out at all. But if you leave it in its skin for more than a few weeks really, it will start to rot immediately. So silver birch, you need to skin it or chop it up really quickly. Got to let the air get inside and let the moisture get out. But it's got so little moisture that you can burn it straight away. And it burns really hot. It's a nice heat that comes off silver birch, but it's almost useless. It burns up in absolutely no time. And maple, I have a particular vendetta against maple trees. I don't like them. So collecting a whole load of that was nice as well. Though again, maple is really nice wood. And there we go, another good day's work. One man working, joined by 3 friends, sort of 4 people working. It was a good day, really enjoyed it. Got the wood back to the barracks. The next day I think Christian brought it back to us, tipped it all out, and it's about 4 cubic metres, which is just remarkable. 3 of us all working really hard for 5 or 6 hours I think. So, 15, nearly 20 hours of work to get 4 cubic metres. It's incredible. Wood's heavy. But a great day's work. Really enjoyable, really satisfying. Can't wait to do it again sometime. See you all next time.